Hello everyone, Cisco Cracker, aka Coop. That's me back in the day on the bike. Anyhow, welcome back to the channel, or I guess I should say I'm welcome back to the channel because I've been away for so long now. An inordinate amount of things have gone on. I'm no longer in SC. I am now back in Texas. I had my Diablo away at a buddy's shop for a year and a half. Got about 3 months worth of work out of it. Whole long story there that I'm not going to go over on this particular video. Anyhow, this one's going to be about being gone for so long, what's been going on, and kind of what's coming in the next bit. And then there's going to be another follow-up video directly after this one, having to do more with the current things I'm doing to the car, and some of that shop information is going to come out there. Because the car was kind of vandalized while it was there. Anyhow, I have a place I'm renting in Texas now while I am waiting on some folks who sound like they very well may build the house that I've been wanting to build for quite a while now. Anyhow, look at this mess. Speaking of mess, here, let's turn this camera around. So we've got some various things going on here. This is an LQ4 motor. I've posted on it on Instagram quite a bit about the build, and was showing some updates as I was getting that done. It's an LQ4 6-liter 2004 2500 HD motor that I have LS3 heads and Cadillac CTSV cam. The old cam that was in the motor is here. It's one of those 3-bolt style. The CTSV cam is a single bolt. There's the old heads that came out of the, one of them anyway, that came out of the LQ4. So in getting the LS3 heads, and I guess I've got some good ones here. 823 is the stamping on these particular ones I've got going on. Anyhow, got the coated headers. I've got a kit to drop that into my old 78 Trans Am, which of course is a catch-all for everything in the shop right now. The original 6.6 Pontiac 400 that was in it is sitting right here on the floor on a tire. Got the old Quadrajet carburetor. So anyhow, this one's out. Buddy came over and helped me with that. He was getting the motor out while I was finishing up the build on the block and the heads. I guess by the time he was here, I was probably just doing the heads and the rocker arms and that kind of a thing. Tossed that intake on there. It's a nice one. It will definitely inhale freely. And so for those that might not know what's going on with this thing, this is going to be a fumes motor directly following the 5.7 LT1 that I have in the Diablo already. This being a 6-liter. Guys that build these things that told me about the LS3 heads and get a good blower cam are suspecting this motor is probably going to be closer to 500 horse, potentially at the wheel even. But my fumes box I'm building for this one won't be as restrictive as the one as I put on the Diablo. The Diablo is specifically designed to be a 200 mile per gallon car. This Trans Am is probably going to be more like a 100 mile per gallon car. But with high horsepower, at least 400 horse. Now, this initial thing that I'm doing has that intake, and it's got this Holley carburetor that's going on it, and it's got the electric choke, and the fuel bowls front and back on it. So that guy is going to go on for my old Murcielago wheel there. But that guy is going to go on just to burn in the headers and just operate off a bubbler. So these things you've seen me do before on previous videos where I use one of these for a bubbler. I'm going to do that through the carburetor. The same way I did on the original 78 Trans Am videos back in the day. This is kind of me thumbing my nose at some people who relieved me of my oil and water in that 6.6 right there. So I've gone back. I've got the same hardware I've bought previously that was on the Trans Am back in the day. What was that, 6 years ago now, huh? If you look at those old videos. It's an Edelbrock 10-inch air filter. I'll just pull the air filter out like I did on the other one and put a piece of metal in there. And then I'll drill holes in it with a unibit, a step bit, and put like a 1-inch fiber reinforced nylon hose coming up from that oil. What do they call that thing? Waste oil storage container. I mean, you know, when you're changing your oil, you just drain it right in there. But yeah, you just unscrew that cap on the right side there and let air suck in over top of a little bit of fuel. You have about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of fuel in the bottom of that thing. And then that red cap that's on the very top, this guy, is where you'll run a little 1-inch hose off of him and up to the air cleaner that will sit on the Harley carb on top of this intake. And that will be enough to get it cranked. So I do have the starter on here now. It was like the last thing I installed on it. So I basically need to wire up the starter, wire up some heat to this guy. This allows for, there's a cam sensor there, and a crank sensor, you know, down over the side, down low. And then it provides spark to fire the coils. So I'll be able to fire these original truck coils that came with this motor. I've got fresh plug wires and plugs, fresh change of oil and oil filter. I mean, this thing's not far from being able to crank soon. You know, some of the stuff you see like laying around everywhere, I mean, these are taillight bezels that belong on the Diablo. It was fairly close to paint. There's one of the seats that belong in the Diablo. Over here's the 4-speed, what was that, a 4L80E, that was in that 3/4 ton truck, where I got the LQ4, the 04 2500 HT. That is a 900 Ninja motor over there that will wind up on fumes one day. Here's my original old generator you guys would have seen from my very first video of anything running on fumes. It was this generator sitting on top. The one beneath it is my buddy's generator, who wasn't able to get his running after a while, and I told him I'll take it for spares and whatnot, and you know, at some point, if I can get his carburetor together well enough, maybe we'll just put it on fumes as well. There's the other Diablo seat. Just looking around the garage for a minute. The old air cleaner from Trans Am. You can see this has got that wide metal band in the middle with the small Hurst hatch T-tops like the original Smokey and the Bandit car. 78 Trans Am was my first car. For those who don't know, I got it back. I had it in the family forever and went back and forth between my mom and myself a few times. But we'll open up the garage and see what we have outside the door here. So there's the 3 of the 4 tires off the Diablo. 335 wide in the rear, 245 wide in the front. Diablo itself sitting under cover. I took the wing off so the car cover would not pool up. It would always pool if you have the wing up here, and then this is all flat down in there and just makes this huge pool standing water when it rains. You see the door skins are off because of this huge change there on the side. And the windshield's not in, so all this water's sitting on the cover on the top. Anyhow, some of the things that we had to do on here that are already done. Little Bambi deer over there running off. There's deer everywhere out here where I'm at now. I probably see at least 40 a day. They're up in my yard all the time. Like 4 or 5 times a day. Apparently this used to be one of their hangouts. So if you hadn't seen before, it's got the 13-inch Brembo brakes, S10 hubs. It's got complete coilover setup, and the spring was actually interfering with the old piece of the metal from the old suspension on the car back in the day. So I completely removed the spring, got that out of there, ground that down, and clearanced it and got it back together. Now I just need to run that cup up on this side to restore the ride height and tighten that up. That piece will be good. I've still got to do that on this side yet. I don't have the spring off of it yet to adjust it for clearancing all the metal on this side, but that shouldn't take too terribly long, a couple hours maybe, and that will be good. And then I'm working on doors. The hinge here on the passenger side is hosed, so I need to get that took care of. I did replace the fuel injector for the motor, so you know, this thing, for those that have been following, know that this thing runs on a single fuel injector. So there's the box. It's a big watered air intercooler right here. Get my finger up here. This water comes in off the block. It goes through the intercooler and it continues onto the heater core in the cabin, and then returns back to the block. So you got circulated hot water at all times to try and keep this box temperature at least 200 degrees. And then you can see the single fuel injector off that small fuel rail that I made for it. That's the only injector that runs this motor. And you can see there's an elbow turning upwards. That's got an electrical preheater in it for cold starts. And then up at the top, there's a throttle body, 50mm throttle body. There's a throttle position sensor up there. And then just, you know, throttle by cable. So anyhow, and then these red cables hanging down here, that's a switch, the backside of a switch to disconnect the mains power from the battery to the inverter for the preheater, in case something were to happen and the inverter is cooking or what have you, who knows. I put a big power disconnect on that guy. And of course over here we've got the Lotus Exige. I'm about to post this guy up for sale soon. It's an 07 Lotus Exige with a 255 cup tune. It's got aftermarket exhaust and rear diffuser. I still have the original components also. It also has the Nitron single adjustable coilovers all the way around. Those are the major parts that stand out. There's a handful of other things that are cool that are not original. But anyhow, I'll make a separate video about all of that. So yeah, currently the 78 is, it's got an LS swap kit ready to go in it, but you know, it's still got the old original. There's the old motor mounts, you know, from the Pontiac 400 that was in here. So I haven't done any of that work yet. We basically just got that motor out and got the other one ready to go in. I would like to crank that thing sitting on that stand, aside from just an update video. I would like to do it so that we could make sure everything's running and the oil looks good and we still have good compression and there's no reason for the motor to come back out. And then once I'm there, I'm going to use the intake that I originally bought. Clearing some things off of a tote over here. So inside this tote we have a nice sheet metal intake, which I have shown previously in pictures. I don't know if I've really made much in the way of videos about it. But you can see down inside of there, that thing's nice. That's velocity stack style runner intake. And then you can tell that would be awesome for fumes, because liquid fuel couldn't sit down in that, you know, it could ride in that valley, but it's not going to come up over the top. So it's one of the reasons I like this design. Probably just cap off these fuel injector bung holes here, because, you know, I don't need it. It's typically a 11mm, I believe it is, so I could just make some little flat pucks of 11mm diameter, round pucks, and drop them in there and weld them up. That's probably what I'll do. And then I've got a 92 millimeter throttle body that belongs on here. That's the right size for flowing enough air for 500 horsepower at 6,000 RPM with a 6-liter displacement motor. So that's what I picked up. I don't have it handy here to just whip out in front of the camera right now. So that's the plan. I've just been away forever because things going on at the home side. Part of the whole deal with me moving out here to SC, from SC to Texas. And part of it was around some other people that's working with me on the fume stuff. Finally found the right mix of people that I needed to overcome my last obstacle. Because if you guys have seen the videos of the Diablo running down the road in front of the house, there's probably 2-3 times the number of runs and speeds and things that I didn't put on video, that I haven't posted about. So, yeah, this thing's been driving up and down the road quite a bit. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Sorry it is a bit long-winded. Just wanted to cover some of the things about what's been going on since I've gotten out here. And now that I have the Diablo here, I'm just going to town on this thing as much as I can. That 78 Trans Am was getting worked on before the Diablo was able to come out. And then finally I had to just go recover it from that shop. That was just really too bad of a situation that it was in there. I wish I had that 1.5 years back, If I would have got 3 months worth of work and got the car back in 3 months, that would have been awesome. Of course, that wasn't to happen. And I knew that going in, but, we kind of had agreed to a year. And then once it was 1.5 years and it still wasn't happening, I just had to go recover the car. So unfortunately, it means there's a lot of work I got to do that's supposed to have already been done. Some of that was actually even paid for and still wasn't done. But, it's not an uncommon story, unfortunately. So even if it's somebody you know pretty well and whatnot, you just got to hold people accountable. There towards the end, the only way that I was really able to do that was get those people to produce photographs as they made progress. And then, of course, I've got the previous photographs, so I can tell how much was actually done and whatnot. And we would agree on what's next, and then pay some more money to take care of that work that was just done. So anyhow, if you guys haven't already, hit the like and subscribe and tell other folks about it, especially people that are interested in this whole 100 mile per gallon high performance motor, the 200 mile per gallon LT1 motor that's down on power. I say down on power, it's probably still capable of about 250, 300 horsepower. But then lastly, there's going to be the Hummer getting the fumes after both the cars are up and running and on their feet. And I got a daily driver plus backup daily driver. This guy is going to be getting the fumes. It's a 08, so he's a 6.2 liter with a 6-speed. 03 to 07s are the ones that are 6 liter with 4 speeds. So that will be interesting. I've already talked to a guy who's done several of the Hummer H2s, 15 or 16 of them back whenever I talked to him a few years ago. And he had said that he was getting 60 miles per gallon out of his Hummers that he had converted. And he was doing it more like this bubbler style thing. Now, that's, plastic, and it's not actually good to drive on, make it streetable. But he had, metal parts and a better version of that. And once he saw my water to air intercooler with a single injector in it, he was saying how much more efficient that would have to be compared to what he was doing. So he was impressed by that. He thought it would definitely get way over 60. He said, wouldn't surprise me if you hit 100. That would surprise me because the Hummer's just a heavy thing. It's 6,700 pounds, that vehicle. So I don't see getting that kind of mileage out of it. But, if it makes 80, that'd be awesome too. But I would be happy with 60. That's better than Prius. Most Prius are, 55? So I'd take that in a Hummer, 60 miles per gallon, sure. So thanks, everyone, for watching. And do keep tabs on what's happening here. Part of the reason of creating the video is also to get the notifications to hit. So if you guys want to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know when a new video drops. Over the course of this summer, There should be quite a few more videos because we are trying to get the Diablo in a drivable state, pass inspection, drive it on the road, and we are targeting going to a conference in Ohio the 20th and 21st of July, and we want to drive this car there. We do not want to trailer it. So that's kind of the target. That's the goal. There's quite a few things left to do on the car before it's there, but you know, year and a half ago, whenever I turned this thing into that shop, I drove it in. I drove it out of the trailer and into the shop. It was a running driving car at the time, and it was all together. I could have made it street legal just by hooking up some lights and horn and putting seatbelts in it. I could have drove it on the road right then. But there was other work I wanted done, make it a little further along, a little nicer. And unfortunately, that's where we got let down, I guess you could say. So this car isn't that far away from that. If I could get a good solid month, maybe the month of June, basically, in on just restoring everything back to where it was, it should be a drivable car in pretty short order. And I got a guy up the road here that does inspections. So he's already done the Hummer and the motorcycle. So maybe the Diablo's next. And if I can get help on the 78 Trans Am LS swap, then, you know, somebody can be working on that while I'm working on the Diablo. So I got an extra room. Put somebody up if you want to help make the fumes a reality. You know, I don't want to just do the one car. I'm going to have two cars in a truck. And then, like I was saying, that 900 engine motor, no BS, is going to go on something. I've always wanted to put it in like a go-kart kind of a situation. Anyhow, groovy, man. So you guys take care. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit notification bell, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Cisco Cracker there as well. And if you're not able to help your friends figure out how to get to this channel, SISQOCRACKER, Cisco Cracker, all together one word, is what you search for on YouTube and on Instagram to find me on both locations, where I'll be posting up more current pictures and whatnot on Instagram as I'm actually doing work. And then YouTube will lag behind those updates with, I'm hoping to at least get weekly video updates of the progress on the car from here out. So thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.